Hello, today is 10th of June 2018. Welcome to the new video about Bitcoin on my finance channels. Now let's have a look at Bitcoin. One of the reasons I want to look at it is because of the action today. Bitcoin today lost about $300, and there is a question whether Bitcoin is going to break through this uptrending line, this trend line that is trending upwards is formed by these relatively recent lows in early February this year, in early April, and in late May. So with this significant move down today, there is a chance that Bitcoin is going to break through this upper trend line and give us another relatively significant low sometime soon. What is that going to mean? Well, in that case, I think we would say that the current 2-month cycle in Bitcoin is going to extend until that period, until that new lower low, and we will be ready to enter a new 2-month Bitcoin cycle that might take us close to 8,000 or so. Why am I talking about these 2 months Bitcoin cycles? Because if you look at history of Bitcoin going back for quite a while, let's go back for quite a while. All this sort of rally in Bitcoin started in April last year. Even if you go beyond that, you will see that if you connect relatively significant lows, we will see that Bitcoin often follows cycles that last for, well, about 2 months. Sometimes these cycles are longer, sometimes these cycles are shorter, but generally they are of a 2 months duration, something like that. So keeping that in mind and seeing a low here at the very early April and another relatively significant low here in end of May, we might see that here this actually gives us almost 2 months. So there is a chance that the 2-month cycle in Bitcoin has finished and we're in the new cycle. However, this price action today might question that. If we are going to see a more significant low sometime over the next week, that would give us sort of 2.5 months cycle, or just under 2.5 months cycle in Bitcoin, which is quite possible. However, I don't think this is the most likely scenario. I would give it sort of a 40% chance probability. If this does happen, once we get down to somewhere between 6,000 and 6,500, I think that could be a nice opportunity for short-term gains as we enter a new Bitcoin cycle, bringing us possibly somewhere around here. We will see resistance either formed by this downtrend line that we've been respecting for quite a while already, or formed by resistance at these levels over here. Sort of there was a lot of congestion somewhere here. So if Bitcoin does break down and reaches somewhere around 6,200, anywhere between 6,000 and 6,500, that would be a nice buying opportunity for a rise anywhere between, what is this here, something like 7,700, with the potential of rising all the way up to 8,500. So that is a possibility. However, I only give it, say, 40% chance. I think Bitcoin is going to respect this cycle that has actually lasted for a couple of months, and this other scenario that I'm going to discuss now, I would give it, well, something like 60% chance. So it's not certain that Bitcoin is not going to break below this trend line. However, we have seen in the past some cycles that came close to creating a lower low and negating the previous cycle. For example, if we look at this cycle over here that started in the second half of December, after about a week or so it came close to creating a lower low. It didn't, of course, create a lower low, but we retraced much of the rally we've had during that week. So, and I think this sort of scenario is going to play out again, and we will follow with another rally, possibly bringing us to a slightly higher high. So over the next couple of weeks, what I think is more likely scenario is for Bitcoin to rise again to similar resistance levels. That was somewhere around here. Well, actually, I'm going to discard this resistance zone because there is not much rising in that case. I think Bitcoin might rise all the way up to this downtrend line. As I said, Bitcoin has been respecting that downtrend line for quite a while already, all the way since February, for several months, and that will give us this rally for this 2-month cycle. Unfortunately, after that, after we reach something like, well, anywhere between 8,500 to 8,700, that will probably be the top for the next couple of months, and we might see a declining phase of that 2-month cycle, bringing us all the way down to August. That is my more likely scenario, and we have to admit that neither of these two scenarios we've looked at so far look very rosy for the Bitcoin price. We don't expect it to go much higher than 8,800. Well, let's have a look at something nice. What might happen with Bitcoin over the next, well, let's say half a year or so, let's look at a slightly longer term, is if I sort of extend these arrows, we might see something like that. So this trend line, we extend that trend line over here. If this more likely scenario plays out as I'm describing it, somewhere in early August we'll enter a new 2-month cycle in Bitcoin, bringing us back close to, say, 8,000 or so. That's going to be a resistance zone. Now that it's broken as a support zone, it's going to act as a resistance zone for a while. So in that next cycle, Bitcoin might bounce back down from that resistance zone, take a breather. Hopefully it will not create a lower low, and on the next attempt I hope it's going to break through that resistance low, break through that resistance, and well, probably reach somewhere close to the 200-day moving average. Actually, what it's going to give us is something like a head over here, something like a shoulder over there, and another shoulder over here. Reversed head and shoulders. So here's my rosy outlook for the Bitcoin in the longer term. Stay tuned on the price of Bitcoin over the next several months to see if this rosy outlook plays out. I wish you a nice weekend. Thanks for your attention.